Over the last few weeks, we've been thinking with our young people's groups what it means to be a genuine follower of Jesus. And we've been looking together in Matthew's Gospel at the Sermon on the Mount, that very famous sermon that Jesus gives. And he's basically saying to his followers, look, this is what it means to genuinely follow me, to genuinely be one of my disciples. And there's loads and loads of great stuff in there. Those of you, obviously Sermon on the Mount is pretty familiar stuff to many people. But last week we were thinking about when we follow Jesus and are genuinely following him, then that affects where our heart is and what we put our trust in. And over recent weeks and months, I think we've seen, haven't we, very clearly actually the frailty and I guess futility of putting our trust in stuff, in money, in things, in possessions. Because actually, with all of this lockdown, all of that has kind of paled in significance compared to the importance of helping to save lives. People's jobs have been put on hold. People's ability to get what they want when they want it has been taken away. Those with the investments, many have lost loads of money as interest rates and all of that kind of stuff have plummeted. Jesus, in the Sermon on the Mount, says this: "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." So I wonder, where is your heart and where is your treasure? Over these last few weeks and months, has God been trying to prod you and point you in the direction of where your treasure is? What are the things that you find security in? Is it in your stuff, the things that we have, our house, our home, our jobs, the money that we can earn from having a job? Is our treasure or our security in having enough money in the bank, or being able to buy the right sorts of foods, or get the certain types of clothing, or whatever else it is? Has God been revealing to you maybe some of those areas which we need to give over to him? Because actually, when we follow Jesus, he says we should store up treasures in heaven. I saw a brilliant video today of a Paralympic swimmer who's won tons and tons of gold medals at the Paralympic over the last 2 Paralympics. But he was like, but actually, those are just going to fade. Those aren't going to last forever. He said, my faith in Jesus is what matters. That's the thing that's going to last and have eternal significance and consequence. Yes, we need to work hard for God's glory. But does what we do, is it about us getting more stuff, find security, storing up treasures on earth? Or is our focus to use our gifts and our abilities and the jobs that we have to glorify God and store up treasures in heaven? To have our hearts fixed on the gospel, to have our hearts fixed on the future that awaits us, to have our priorities and our time shaped by storing up treasures in heaven, shaped by the gospel. I think it's a big challenge. It's a challenge for me, and I work for a church. It's a challenge for me as I've been teaching it and looking at it with our young people. It's a challenge for our young people as they grow up in this world. But maybe it's a challenge for you today. If it is, why don't you talk to God about it? Pray to him about it. Ask him to help you, as I need to ask him to help me.